Welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, we're going to be working on getting the hydraulic clutch installed on the Mustang. We have currently, at the time of this video, we have the pedals and everything in. None of them are tightened up, but it is all there. So before we get the motor, engine, transmission, anything done, solidified, and in the car, we want to get this done while we have room to drill everything out. So off camera, I went ahead and just kind of read through the instructions really quickly, and I started to kind of piece things together because, to be honest, I was kind of confused about it all. So it's actually not that hard. Basically, you're going to have this adapter plate here that mounts onto the firewall, like that. You'll hit these Allen keys from the inside the car, and that'll hold your master cylinder here. Master cylinder is connected to this top little portion of this assembly that they have here. There's a clevis, which I don't have it installed because I didn't want to lose it. So it'll be kind of something like this. And then once it gets inside the car, this is where I was a little confused. So you have this whole assembly here. It's got two heim joints. So this top heim joint here will go on this actuation here that's connected onto the master cylinder with this clevis right here. So that'll sit up against the firewall, flat, just like that. And then this other side of this heim joint will connect to the actual clutch pedal itself. There's a hole already there for modern drive line. So whenever you push the clutch pedal, it'll go ahead and pull that, or plunge that master cylinder how it's supposed to. So actually not too hard. It comes with a little cylinder or reservoir that we can remote mount, kind of. It has to be above the master cylinder, so I don't know exactly where we're gonna put that in the car yet. We'll figure that out at a later time. And it comes with two self-tapping screws and a bleeder kit, so we can go ahead and make sure everything's bled correctly as well. So that has its own instructions in there, so we'll do that at the very end, obviously. So what we're gonna do first, guys, is it says to make a template with this and get it up on your firewall. It needs to be about 1 inch above an indentation, which I need to double check where that indentation is. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use this as my template. So I'm just going to draw on my firewall with a marker and call it good. Once we get that main hole, on there, then I know that I'll just kind of hold it up there, and I should be able to get an idea exactly where these bolts will go, these Allen key bolts will go. So that's how I'm going to do it. I think that'll be a little bit easier. Actually, I might be able to put a piece of tape on there. Could trace that out and hopefully get these done by flipping it over or something. Yeah, I might be able to do that. So let me go grab a big piece of painter's tape and see if I can actually make a template out of tape, and I could put that on my firewall. And for the directions, guys, it comes with 6 pages of directions. They're in color. They are pretty good overall. This is my first time ever doing anything like this, but you can see where we're going. So here's the lever itself. It connects, you can see this heim joint to the clutch pedal and kind of goes down and into the firewall. So that's awesome, but we need to get this hole drilled here. And for that one, it says that the master cylinder will have 1.4 inches on top total travel. Verify master cylinder does not touch the bottom lever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, where do we make that hole? I thought it said... Yeah, against the radius of the firewall on the right side of the plate. Multi-use plate with extra holes. Use a Sharpie marker, mark 2 the small mounting holes, apply the upper and outer drilling holes. Anyway, I'll have to look and see where exactly to go. Hole, install cap screws, Loctite. I can't exactly remember where it's set. I could have sworn it said to mount it essentially 1 inch above the ridge. So really what we're looking for is to see if there is a assembly here for a clutch, if there is, if there isn't. And we're just going to kind of smoke it in there. I'll reread and make sure that it tells me where it needs to be, because I'm not entirely sure. I could have sworn I saw something somewhere. It's an 1/8 inch or an inch or something. Anyway, I'll figure that out. In the meantime, off camera, guys, I'm just gonna make a quick template of this. We're gonna bring these outside to the car that I got the motor out, and then we can kind of just copy, you know, this location where they have it. One thing I will say, they should have put this MDL on maybe this side, because it's gonna be, you know, up against the firewall. You're not gonna be able to really see that. This is a nice looking piece too, just like everything else they sent. So let me get that kind of squared away, guys, and then I'll update you as to what is going on. So we are back out at the car, guys. We went ahead and got our template traced and our directions with us. So with our directions, you see I have the master cylinder out for the brakes. It basically has the master cylinder for the clutch right about here in this area. You can see that in this picture. It actually didn't have a measurement. I guess that was off Andy Cruz video I watched. So we have like this top plug, the 2 holes, and then the clutch cutout, which is what they referenced in here. Punch out if you're coming from an automatic car, which we are. So let's set those down there. It's super windy, which is obviously this circle right here. So we need to get that kind of aligned. Now we do have the speedometer cable in the way, but it is actually not hooked up yet. I actually disconnected it because I knew it was going to be behind the dash and everything a long time ago. Just never plugged it back in until I knew the car was kind of ready. So what we got, guys, is we got our template here. We are going to go ahead and put this guy on the firewall, which is going to require both hands here. Set you down for just 1 second and hope that the phone doesn't fall. And we're going to place this to get a pretty rough idea where we should be. I think we can get it pretty close. Now this does need to be flat, and it's going to be very hard to see. I'm actually going to go over to the right a little bit more than what I think it actually says. Maybe even down. Oh man. Getting that flat is going to be kind of hard. There's a little ledge right there. Looks like we have some room to kind of just make it work. So let me show you guys what I'm talking about now. So right here we have, oh, it's focusing in on my sweatshirt. This is a nice ledge right here, so we don't want that. We can't go too far this way, and if we go down here we have a little bit of a ledge too. So I really need to get it, I'm thinking right in there. Right in here is what I'm thinking. That's about the flattest spot, and right about here, this little piece of surface rust is, that's right before it kind of loses its shape to where it's not flat. So from about here all the way up is pretty flat, so I need to make sure that, you know, that'll actually fit right there. If it does, that's where I'm going to place it. After I place that, guys, I'm going to put in the master cylinder for the brakes and make sure there's no interference with my proportioning valve. I'm hoping that there's not. That's one thing I'm definitely worried about. So let me go ahead and try and get this thing to stick. If it'll stick right there, just make sure we're out of the way of everything, we will be in business. All right, so almost seems like we're going to get just maybe a tad bit of an angle. And of course this tape isn't sticking because this isn't exactly a super clean firewall by any means. Can you guys see what's going on? So let's try and just put this guy back in there just ever so gently. Now when I talked to them, they said everything should fit. I can tell you right now, that ain't gonna fit. Yeah, I talked to them on the phone. I mean, there's no way I could come out with the master cylinder. So maybe I need to take it lower down into this area here, which we can do. So I'm gonna pull this guy back out, which is not exactly easy. We're gonna have to put this guy down. And while we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up so it sticks a little bit better. I can't really move the prop valve on this side. It'll hit the motor. Yeah, let me just go get a wire brush on a drill and I'll clean all this up and flatten it out, make it look a little bit better to where the tape will stick, and then we can play with it. And I'll grab the clutch master cylinder too and see where it fits and if it's going to bind with this. I'm thinking we're just going to go a little bit lower than I initially thought. On some of the videos I've seen, people actually trim that master cylinder like aluminum block a little bit to make it fit more that way towards this like fender. So luckily with those Heim joints, we do have some adjustability for sure. So I think we're going to be okay. I know my wires are up and out of the way. That was one thing I did a little while ago because I knew that all this was coming. I even have another thing too for the master cylinder for this guy as well. So I was trying to get the wires out of here as much as possible just because we had a lot of different parts moving and going on. So let me go grab all those things. Hopefully it'll clean all that up. And then once I'll probably test fit some stuff just off camera. It's just easier, and I really can't get in anywhere to put this tripod to hold the camera very well. I will update you guys when I have something hopefully figured out. So I went ahead and cleaned everything up with just a wire brush, and my template no longer sticks to anything. And of course, these damn Willwood brakes are causing issues once again. Have to say, I don't think I'll ever use Willwood brakes again. Yeah. Long story short, I think I got all my stuff during COVID. Quality control has just been absolute garbage. Support was garbage. And again, because plethora of things, now we're having issues with anything fitting. Again, I know that I'm adding modified parts, but man, I wish whenever they have customer service reps, they know what they're talking about, because I know when I asked, I said, will this fit with a clutch, hydraulic clutch? And this was 2-3 years ago. And they said, oh yeah, there's no problem using this. And aside from that, of course, the master cylinder is leaking, which I don't know why it should be leaking. Everything's tight, of course. So very frustrated with just Willwood stuff in general, at least when it comes to the braking. I could make a whole video about how I've had to replace parts, flex lines, things like that, because they came and they would not hold pressure. Turns out they were cut, or that they had a nick in them. So I've had to buy multiple parts multiple times, and if I could do it over, I would just go with the CJ Classic kit and get a probably electronic master cylinder, which I may do and sell this one. Rant over, sorry guys, very frustrating. Anyway, so it's very difficult to get everything to fit, and I kind of knew that going into it. Modern Drivelines assured me that we could get to fit. When I talked to them on the phone, sure, definitely, if we could get rid of that proportioning valve and maybe a smaller master, it'd be a lot easier. But I do think we have a solution, which is going to be, we have to put it way over here, way over to the right, more than what it kind of calls for. And once we do that, I don't have enough hands here, guys. I basically have to put this right hand of this bracket, you can probably see my finger moving way over there, all the way as far up against anything I can. And then that does give me enough room for the master cylinder itself to actually fit. I may have to even remove that wiring and bring it all the way up. To be honest, I'm just not entirely sure yet. So we're gonna go grab some bolts for this master cylinder, and we are going to throw one or two in and see kind of what happens. Yikes, this thing has just been a nightmare. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna get into everything, but we gotta work around it. It's what we got. It allegedly works better than other stuff, so we will figure it out. It's not a big deal. Sorry about the frustration there. Let me, I might make a new template. I might actually I'm gonna grab 2 bolts. We're gonna get those drilled in here with the master cylinder so we can get it kind of mounted up in its location. And while we're doing that, we're gonna go ahead and add another piece to the puzzle in this location as well. So let me go get all that stuff and I'll show you what we got. Okay guys, we got the plate in for Andy Cruz. this guy here, and we got the master cylinder just bolted up on this side. That should be more than enough to get it figured out for location wise. Obviously it'll go, you know, that way a little bit more, but holy cow, getting that pedal assembly up and bolted in by yourself is so freaking difficult. I mean, I probably just spent 45 minutes or so trying to get it, but now we have plenty of room to work with our master cylinder now for our hydraulic clutch. So as you guys can see, we have virtually no room anywhere, so it's gonna have to go way up over here and down, because we need to have enough room to actually put the plunger and the master cylinder in itself. So, oh man, even just trying to get this piece in there is like difficult. I'd love if I could just put it right here. Man, that'd be freaking awesome. I mean, I can't because I don't have enough heim joints or anything. So I really just don't know if this is going to work with the proportioning valve. Pull this guy out. That is an old speedometer cable, so that doesn't matter. Okay, so if I put this trying to get a camera angle here too, guys. I have nowhere to set this that gives you guys any type of angle. Let's try it right here maybe and hope it doesn't fall. Struggle bus for sure. You can kind of see what's going on. So I think really the only place I'm maybe I'll put this guy, snake it in up and over. For the time being, it's upside down, just is what it is. I think it's gonna have to go ideally it should go like right around in there. You can see it's kind of nice and flat, but there is just no way it's gonna fit with that proportioning valve. I mean, I'm not opposed if they're touching. It's not like ideal, especially because this whole thing's gonna get sucked towards the fender a little bit more once we tighten it all the way up. So that means it needs to go kind of low. I wonder if I could turn it. I wonder if that's a dumb question, if it matters. So if I could turn it horizontal. Yeah, that camera fell. Oh, jeez. All right, we'll just have to see you guys like maybe up here. I am curious if I could turn that master cylinder horizontal. That would actually kind of help. Because then I could at least get it, or even at an angle a little bit, or anything. All right, where this wire is, it needs to get out of the way. This is, I knew this was going to be the worst part of the entire install. I was not looking forward to this at all. Nope, brake lines are in the way if I do it there. If I do it way up here, I can't even get it flat. Horizontal brake lines are in the way. I mean, I can kind of get it right there. It's not even close to being flat. And will this even fit? Kind of fits. Thing is, this is not even remotely flat, guys. That would shoot up, which means that won't work. All right, well, I'm gonna see if I can turn that horizontal maybe. in that case, Willwood and Modern Driveline are both wrong. You can't fit it when I talk to them both on the phone. All right, guys, I'm gonna do a little bit of Google and see if I can turn that horizontal, or if the master cylinder isn't necessarily perfectly flat, if that's like a big no-no, or it's just not preferred, but you can still get it to work. Because if we can do that and still get it to work, we may potentially just have to do that. Just kind of get it as is. I just don't know if I can turn that sideways at all. Really should just cut this speedometer cable and get it out of the way. But I mean, I can't even get this bracket in there, which like isn't that big of a deal because obviously the plunger itself is thinner. So even if I could get it, if I get it kind of up and all the way there, that doesn't really help. I could relocate the speedometer cable and bring this up. It kind of naturally likes to fit right there, but I do have the brake line's right in front of the stud, this bottom stud. But I could take that out and install this master cylinder kind of at an angle, which you guys might be able to kind of see. I could get that at an angle a little bit, just kind of like that. Keeps it relatively flat. And then I'd have to put this master cylinder back on after the fact. Because the brake line is touching this bottom stud. If I do it like that, it'd be a little bit at an angle. I mean, which obviously you want the plunge as straight as possible, but we have the Heim joints, so we're gonna keep this straight. But I don't know if it matters if we were to turn it a little bit or not. So I'm gonna Google that. Hopefully we can turn it a little bit and it's not that big of an issue. If it is, then I think we're gonna be in the clear. Yeah, I knew that this whole section here was gonna be just miserable. And well, I can confidently say it is just miserable. So worst part is I need to take off these bolts, pull everything out so I can drill out the holes. And then once I drill out the holes, I want to, obviously I'm going to prime and throw some paint on all of the metal over here. So I think this one I'm going to do a little bit of research off camera and get it kind of going off camera. This one's really kind of throwing me for a loop. Yeah. Huh. So the way it's going to work, it's going to have to be like essentially kind of way down in here, and that stud hits, I mean, barely touches this brake line right here, so I can probably kink it just enough to where it doesn't touch, and then it should be good. This brake line here goes to the rear, so I guess I could maybe cut it and redo it. I just really don't want to. Brake lines suck. I'm thinking if I could cut this back rear brake line, do like a 90, and instead of going out this way, having it almost go like up, or even just a 90 kind of straight across and then down. But that's not how it came from the factory. Factory, it went straight down, and I actually have already moved it, so I don't know. All right, guys, I'm gonna do some Googling, get some ideas, and go from there. Okay, guys, so new development, called Modern Driveline, and they said no, it won't fit. There is no way it'll fit. And whoever told me that it'll fit was wrong. So they told me to call Willwood, which, guys, I've had just horrible luck with Willwood when I worked with them. Again, it was during COVID. I got sent some wrong fittings. I got sent wrong hardware. Some of the hardware I did get sent didn't even fit. It was not labeled. Some of my flex lines I got were, one of them was cut, had a nick in it, so it didn't hold pressure. What else did I have to replace? Caliper mounting bracket bolts. Yeah, so out of the same kit, one of them was a fine thread, one of them was not, I believe, at one point in time, and caused the caliper to actually come off. Like one time I got to drive it. So the modern driveline told me, no, you really can't mount it any other way. You throw out the geometries and it's just not safe. So to call Willwood to see if they have any solutions for flipping the master cylinder tubes over to the left-hand side. So that's what I did. And I don't know who I talked to at Willwood, but wow, he was a wealth of knowledge. And I have to say, it must have just been a COVID thing, because he was right on it, gave me a part number. He understood and, talked about some safety things, a couple other little things to take into consideration about clearing the motor, some heat, headers, anything like that, to get that stuff out of the way. So I think we could do one of two things. I think right now what we could do is, believe it or not, I could technically, I think, leave the master cylinder and the proportioning valve where it's at and redo those lines. Redoing those lines and tucking them up at almost like a 90-degree. And we should be very, very close and good enough to where I could probably get the hydraulic clutch master cylinder in there. Or he gave me the part number to switch the proportioning valve to which will just be the new bracket and the new tubes, to the inboard side, which would also work, I think. I don't know. I have not seen that on any of the Mustangs, so I don't know if that'll clear the motor without just being a nightmare. So I am going to look around online, see what other people are doing. I can't be the only one that ran into this. Or even potentially changing out my master cylinder. I am not opposed to that either, and then getting a smaller electric master cylinder. I think that'd be kind of nice to have. And then I think with that, it's just routed completely different. Only thing is, I think those run in the range of $1,000 to $1,500 versus these other options. I mean, could redo the brake lines, which wouldn't be the end of the world, because that was my first time ever doing it. So I could actually, wouldn't even be too upset to redo those. Feel more confident in them, and I could probably make them cleaner and everything like that. They just suck. I just hate doing them. Might be something I'd actually end up taking somewhere. Just have somewhere to do the brake lines, and then I'll just get everything up and mounted. Maybe. Or flipping it over to the inner side. So I don't know. I'm going to look into it, guys. So I'm going to do some research. We're going to stop it here for the night, and I will get back to you guys probably in a few days after I do some research and get figured out what I want to do. Okay, guys, next day here, did some research. We called MDL, we called Willwood. MDL said it actually won't work with the prop valve. Not a big deal. When I ordered, I asked about it. They said it would. But again, they deal with so many different cars, so many different solutions. I got custom parts here, everything like that, that I'm pretty sure if it wasn't a Willwood thing, it probably would. So no worries there. They actually told me that they don't really have a solution. You'd have to call Willwood and actually flip the proportioning valve over to this side. I called Willwood, and to my surprise, I've complained about Willwood quite a bit. They were awesome this time around. So I think it was really just whenever I got all my Willwood stuff during the COVID times, the quality control, customer service, everything. My whole experience with them during that time was just, well, it was not good. And I would never recommend them, actually, based on that experience. But yesterday, they were super awesome. They, walked me through quite a few things. So they definitely got a, you know, plus in my book. Back on level playing field now, because I know COVID was kind of weird, but can't use that for an excuse for poor quality parts, QC, and poor customer service. So we have a few things we can do. After looking around online, I can put a Malwood clutch kit underneath the dash, which I really don't want to do. $625 at the time of making this video. That's just a lot. We can flip this bracket over to the inner side here towards the motor. Not the end of the world if we do that. I think everything would still work. I would maintain this current proportioning valve. I'd have to redo the lines, these guys here, but that comes with the kit, and now that I've installed it all, I wouldn't exactly be very intimidated by doing it. I could potentially see if I could just flip this guy over maybe, and maybe just drill out this bracket, but then I don't think these lines here will fit. So I think I'd rather, if I was going to do that, just order a new one that's made for it. Let's see, what else could I do? I think that was about it at the current time. So my idea is, essentially I need to get the master cylinder that way pretty far, and I need to get it kind of down low, kind of right around it here. It's gonna be very difficult to see, but you guys can see I just cannot get that flat. But if I can get it pretty much right above whatever bolt this is and all the way up against there, that should give me enough room to where I could squeeze everything in there. I don't think I'll have any interference with any of these wires. It'll be so close that I think we'll be okay. So you can see, if I get into the angle here, it's grinded down. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is where it's protruding out on this firewall. So what I'm thinking is, if I could just dent this firewall pretty close to flat, for right now, I will be able to actually run this master cylinder way up and over here, which is kind of where I want it, because I want it to be free of this proportioning valve and everything. And once this is installed, I shouldn't never really have to mess with it, hopefully, because we had the remote mounted reservoir, which I don't know where I'm gonna put that. So in theory, aside from tightening it, which I'll do, tighten it all before I put finish installing the brake master cylinder, we should be good to go. And what that allows us to do is to kind of keep everything tucked over there, try and keep the engine bay somewhat clean. I don't necessarily care a ton about keeping everything nice and tucked, trying to make it look somewhat nice though. And then that shouldn't throw off the geometry a ton for the actual clutch itself, because it'll have the spacing kind of very close to where it should go. So it should go right around, I'm trying to get the camera in there, it should be right around in here, guys, where this punch out is. We're just going to move it over quite a bit and down just a little bit, but I think we will be okay, because they give us all the Heim joints, and after rereading the directions, it says that you'll have to add spacers or washers and everything like that for the Heim joints to get everything to fit. So worst comes to worst, essentially, if I have to make up, if I move it over that way just a little bit, I could get a longer bolt to go through the Heim joint and add a spacer. And because those Heim joints, they're spherical and everything, they can actually move pretty good. And I think we'll be okay. That'll be kind of my first attempt. So really just kind of where this metal is grinded off. I mean, I grinded off pretty much all in here to make sure while I was here that everything was fine. We're just going to try and hit this guy flat. I don't know what's there other than the fresh air vent, I imagine, is coming in somewhere through here. But to be honest, guys, I'm going to take my fresh air vents out. They're falling off anyway. I don't have any hardware. I'm not going to use them. So it's not a big deal to me to remove those out. One day, hopefully, I'll upgrade to an aftermarket AC anyway. But I think we can just go ahead and dent that in right down there, push it that way a little bit, get it to where this is pretty well flat. It's probably not going to be exactly perfect, but I mean, even right there, we are so close. If we can just kind of, hammer in this guy a little bit all through here. So that's what we're going to do, guys. I got a couple body working hammers here. I unfortunately don't have a way to hold a, like the little metal slapping plate whatever that's called behind it, the dolly, I guess. So we're just gonna lightly start tapping. If that doesn't work, I'll go get a heat gun, maybe heat that stuff up to make it a cleaner. I don't really want to bind and buckle that metal too much because I do want to paint it and I don't want it to look like complete garbage. But at first, we're just going to try this out and see what happens. I'm going to do all this off camera because I'm going to be swinging right in here. There's really just nowhere good to get a video of that. So I'll update you guys after. Welcome back, guys. We are a few days away from the last time we worked on the car. So basically what we're trying to do is try and dent this in this portion of the firewall end over here because the mounting bracket's supposed to go right in here, which I need to go grab it because I forgot it. And we want to just slide it over just a little bit to where we don't interfere with the proportioning valve with the master cylinder. I guess the other update is I could flip this guy around, put it on the engine side, and I think we would be fine. There's something about just having it all kind of tucked back up here out of the way and putting in the motor and just having, you know, less stuff to occupy over here I'd prefer to do. And I cannot change the geometry of the hydraulic clutch in that area for the linkage too much. You can basically use any bolts to, you know, kind of make it work. But I have to make sure that we get this all nice and flat. That way the master cylinder for the clutch is actually, you know, plunging and operating correctly. If not, it can lead to, I'm assuming, premature wear, some issues, maybe some engagement issues with the clutch and everything. I'm not entirely sure. So we at least want to get it very, very close if it's not perfect. So previously I was trying to use everything with my heat gun, and I stripped off all of the paint, and you guys can see that whacking on it and everything didn't really work. So we got a torch. I'm going to go ahead and torch all this stuff up. I ended up actually pulling this wire because it was just a 12-volt switch wire. We're going to heat that up really nice and hot over there, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of get really right up in here, kind of flat. And I have 2 screws here, so something is mounted on the other side. I think it's for the windshield washer, like little pedal. I'm not entirely sure. And when I got up under there, I didn't really see anything. So I also am very tired of being up and under the dash, so I didn't look very hard. So I'll put you guys on time lapse, and we will just kind of heat this guy up. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Probably not, but I'll see. If it's good video, we'll keep it. If not, I'll delete it. I'll just update you after. Okay, guys, so we have the hydraulic clutch, master cylinder mounted. That was a lot of work. Anyway, back inside the car, we just got it all mounted up as well. You can kind of see through there we have everything good to go. We are running into a little bit of an issue. I'm going to have to adjust the Heim joint, which I don't know if you guys can quite see it. It is kind of right there. So whenever I push the clutch pedal, you can see it's not really quite positioned where it needs to be. And that's with the clutch pedal actually needs to go over to the left, and then everything's happy. You guys can see everything's plunging pretty dang good. But you know, happy. If I move it all over here, and that Heim joint has a bolt where I probably need to add a couple spacers, because if I let it go as is right now, the whole thing sags and goes way over here. And as I push in on the clutch pedal, see, it's just not nearly as happy. Whoa, okay, well, now it looks like it's doing fine. What the heck? Oh, no, all right, so if I step on it, it kind of naturally just wants to go out that way. I need to get some spacers on the Heim joint and tighten it, or switch, you know, play around with it, maybe switch it around, maybe have it backwards or something. So not entirely sure, but it's not quite happy yet. It looks like if I were to bring it over just to the left, everything is a little bit more happy. Now, I also don't have the pedal assembly tightened either. I think I have 1 bolt in, maybe 2. Yeah, so just those 2 bolts, and those are barely holding it in. I didn't tighten those down or anything. So I'll have to probably adjust the pedal assembly kind of like that as well on the Firewall side. But that's going to wrap it up. Thought I would go ahead and share that. If anybody has any tips, tricks, comments below, please leave them. That way we can assist others hopefully on their Mustang restoration journey. This has not been an easy conversion. Actually, it's been a lot more involved than I originally thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say other than I don't know how people can do this on a weekend. Even with the engine out of the car, guys. I spent a lot of time, obviously trying to flatten down the firewall, and that didn't work out. But no, I guess it actually wouldn't be too bad if you're doing it yourself. You just drilled that hole. Yeah, the hydraulic clutch is going to be pretty, hopefully, smooth sailing from here once we get that Heim joint and everything adjusted and happy. It should just be a line going to the master cylinder, like the reservoir, and then one down to the slave cylinder. So making good progress, guys. Unfortunately, we have to flip the master cylinder for the brake cylinder, which means I have to redo those brake lines because they are not long enough. So just another delay. So we'll have to figure that out as well. And hopefully in about 3 years, I can have this car hopefully running and driving. So we'll stay motivated, but man, it's not easy sometimes. So leave any helpful tips, tricks, or comments below. Assist others in their Mustang restoration journey. Thanks, guys.